Well, I'd like to tell everyone, demonstrable fact, the truth. Real technology cannot be destroyed. Real technology cannot regress. Real technology can only progress. That's all it can do. It can never even stay the same. Every 2 years, it advances. And this can be demonstrated. Now, we are told 50 plus years ago, man landed on the moon starting in 1969. From 1969 to 1974, I believe, man went to the moon 6 times there and back, each trip 500,000 miles. 240 there and 240 back. And what they tell us today is that technology can not only regress, but it can be destroyed. And this alleged technology achieved over 50 years ago is now at present a painful process to build back again, per astronaut Don Pettit, who states NASA destroyed the technology that got us to the moon, and it's a painful process to build back again. Now, they easily, it took from like 1960 to 1969, 9 years allegedly, for them to achieve Saturn V rocket, the trajectory, and to go to the moon and back. They did it. And the computer and processing systems they had were very inferior to what we have today in hard drive space and computer processing speed. And it is ridiculous for him to say that, and astronaut Don Pettit to say it's a painful process to build back again. This is what reality states. If we went to the moon over 50 years ago in 1969, then by 1975, and I'll do this in 5-year increments, not the 2-year increments that computing technology advances, okay? I'll do it 5 years. I'll give them 5 years. So from 1969 to 1975, or 6 years, by 1975, if we went to the moon in 69, by 1975 we'd be going to the moon twice as fast and twice as efficient. Going to the moon would be like going to the corner store. And by 1980, another 5 years, it would be like going to the corner store to go and land on the moon and come back. By 1985, at least one structure, the assembly of one structure would begin on the moon. And that is factual. By 1990, that structure would be complete. And by 1995, other nations would begin exploration of the moon, and territorial boundary disputes would break out all over the world. Now, by the year 2000, do I really need to go on and continue? I will, because I know there are very gullible and naive people out there. By the year 2000, the private sector would begin offering one-day trips to orbit the moon. For holiday packages, there would be one-day holiday trips to at least orbit the moon one time available at an airport or similar establishment nearest you. By 2005, there would be multiple structures on the moon, completed and assembled by multiple nations, and astronauts could sustain themselves on the moon for short periods of times, or at least in between trips to the moon. By 2010, colonization in small numbers would absolutely begin. The colonization of the moon would absolutely be in progress. And that would be in 2010. Another 10 years later, by 2020, the first human being would be born on the moon and would be in the world record or Ripley's Believe It or Not. The first human being born on the moon, off Earth. Everything I said would be the result had we went to the moon over 50 years ago. Because real technology cannot regress. It cannot go backwards. It cannot be stunted. It surely cannot be destroyed. And it surely would not be a painful process to rebuild or build back again 50-year-old technology. We wouldn't even need that technology 50 years old by other people. Instead, this is what we get. Press releases that contradict each other. NASA accidentally erases moon tapes. Then a few years later, NASA accidentally sells moon tapes to NASA intern for less than $300, and whoever finds these moon tapes will become a millionaire. Then, most recently, Don Pettit. NASA destroyed the technology that got us to the moon, and it's a painful process to build back again. So now this Italian idiot here, reading his script, asks a very important question, and after 50 years having gone to the moon 6 times. One second, let me find it. Oh, God. 1 second, it's from my other video, but, oh, God. Yeah, just listen to it.
Well, that's a great question. The plan that NASA has is to build a rocket called SLS, which is a heavy lift rocket. It's something that is much bigger than what we have today, and that will be able to launch the Orion capsule with humans on board, as well as landers or other components to destinations beyond Earth orbit. Right now, we only can fly in Earth orbit.
So what he's saying is they're building block components to blast off a capsule called Orion, and that will allow humans to explore the solar system, like the moon and Venus and this and that. And right now, he says we can only fly in low Earth orbit, which is 250 miles high, where they say the tin can there aboard the ISS is whizzing or falling around the Earth within the thermosphere. And all these 5 layers of gas are directly next to, surrounded by, and within an infinite vacuum universe billions of light years across, and the gas and oxygen contradicts what gas and oxygen do at sea level on the ground, where they say gas or gravity is stronger. And gas and oxygen always fill the available volume of a vacuum, the puny vacuums we make at sea level on the ground, where they say gravity is stronger. Gravity weakens with altitude. You weigh less on a mountain. So 250 miles high, gravity would be significantly weaker that high. But gas and oxygen don't do what they do where gravity is stronger on the Earth, which is to immediately and instantaneously fill the puny vacuums we make. But directly next to, surrounded by, and within an infinite vacuum universe, they're inert. They don't do anything. They can maintain harmony and equilibrium directly next to, surrounded by, and within an infinite vacuum universe, billions of light years across. You must be terribly naive and gullible and dumbed down to believe this nonsense that we are told. You instantaneously believe it.
Farthest that we can go, and this new system that we're building is going to allow us to go beyond and hopefully take humans into the solar system to explore. So,
Okay, hear that.
We only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go, and this new system that we're building is going to allow us to go beyond and hopefully take humans into the solar system to explore. So the moon
Listen to
and
what I
Mars,
say in the other
asteroids, there's a
video.
lot of destinations that we could go to.
Scumbag.
And we're building these building block components in order to allow us to do that eventually.
Okay, yeah, to do that eventually, to go to the moon and land on asteroids. Take it over, Raymond. Are you aware that the company you work for says we went to the moon 6 times starting in 1963? And that they say that the moon is 239,000 miles from the Earth? And that they went 6 times, 230,000 miles there and 230,000 miles back? And you're saying we can't leave low Earth orbit, which is 250 miles above the Earth, whizzing around in the thermosphere? Are these people serious? Yeah, they are. Most people don't give a damn. They just overlook that. They must. And they believe everything they're told by these liars. At least they have to face the truth. How is that logical? It's not. And 50 years ago, we went to the moon 6 times, and 50 plus years later, NASA is saying we can't go 250 miles high. We can't go beyond that. And we're making building block technology that will allow us to go to the moon and land on asteroids. Scumbags. And investigate the solar system. Disgusting. Are you effing kidding me? Are you? That's how dumbed down and hypnotized people are. They have no independent logic left in their head. None. The only thing they know is what they instantaneously believe. These people here dictate their reality. Pathetic. Okay? I'm not listening to that garbage. That don't make no sense. If I was that guy, I would have said, wait a minute, didn't we go to the moon 6 times? 50 years ago? Real technology does not regress. Real technology cannot be destroyed. No. It can only progress. Yes. Not regress. Yes. This is ridiculous. I'm going to end this here. Do you understand what I'm saying here? They're telling us that in 1969, we went to the moon 6 individual separate times from 1969 to 1973 or 4. And then it all ended and stopped, and people are going to say, oh, it was money. Or lack of interest. We've already been there. That's because you're gullible and dumbed down and don't have nothing else to say. You can't explain this away in any other fashion. Okay, real technology can only progress. And they wouldn't be sidestepping the moon to go to Mars with the Orion capsule once they figure out how to get through the radiation of the Van Allen radiation belts that they allegedly went through 12 times. Within 6 trips, there and back. Okay? And this is just, you people have no choice but to believe this. Because if you face the truth, you'd be like a smoking hard drive computer melt down. You can't handle it. You can't handle the truth, I'm sorry. But I'm here to tell you, you can. You can dig deep down and reclaim independent logic and character. You don't have to let other people dictate your reality. These people receive $19 billion every year. And all they give is this garbage CGI animation augmented virtual reality. If we went to the moon in 1969, we would have never stopped doing it. We'd be going twice as fast and twice as efficient. It would be like going to the corner store after 5 years. There would be trips offered by the private sector. They'd be making millions. People would go after a while. No, when they first came out with cell phones, only a few big shots could have them. Now everybody has them. They give them away free. Everybody would be able to say, I went to the moon. We orbited the moon. By 2020, 50 years later, there's no structure on the moon. No other nations have ever landed people on the moon. You get CGI animation of Chinese Chang 1 fake Atari 2600 style graphics of a box with wheels on the moon. That is so stupid and ridiculous. Where's the satellite or camera on the moon where we can go and look at the moon and the surface of the moon? None of that exists. Okay, the technology they say we have is only represented in CGI animation. Okay, we would have structures on the moon. Other nations would be on the moon. Disputes would have arrived and been settled about territorial boundaries. And someone would have been born on the moon by now. The moon would be colonized to some degree, even if it's only 3 people. None of that has occurred because it's not possible. The moon is a light, and light cannot be weighed, it cannot be burned, and no gale force wind can blow it away. And that's how it stays up there. It's a light, and it has to do with electromagnetic energy, prescribed circuits, and that circuit never changes or deviates throughout the year. And every year, decade or century, and even millennia, it's always the same, and we only see one side because that's the only side that matters to face Earth that we see. And they make up these lies about tidal lock and gravity. Google, what don't we know about gravity? And even though they acknowledge Cavendish and will throw gravimeters at you, the number one answer is however. There's that word however. If we are to be honest, we don't know what gravity is itself in any fundamental way. And there's a distinct and direct reason why they don't know what it is in any fundamental way, because gravity itself, not what it does, did, or is doing, but gravity itself has no presence or substance of itself to directly detect, identify, isolate, and then harness. It's non-existent. It doesn't exist. You people have been systematically dumbed down to instantaneously believe everything they tell you. And the only effort, physical or mental, that you put into it all is to memorize it and regurgitate it for a test, or like in Goodwill Hunting in the bar, you can bust out with some regurgitation of things you memorized, and people will think you're smart, and you'll get the girl and the phone number. And that's what many of you aspire to be, like Matt Damon in Goodwill Hunting. Quantum physics, none of that can be demonstrated on the Earth. It requires 1,000 miles away in an infinite vacuum universe where they show you the mathematic equation of how 2 particles can copy one another over vast distances in a vacuum. Quantum mechanics, quantum magic. If it can't be demonstrated, there's a reason why. And you people need to wake up. Our reality is not as complicated as they make it out to be. They're liars. We never went to the moon, and they have the audacity to tell you with a bald face that we can't go beyond 250 miles. Scumbags.